Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today we're going to be talking to Sayam Ibrahim. He is the founder of Wealthy Wednesdays Real Estate Club and an investor that has done over 1,400 real estate deals. We're going to be breaking down his three favorite real estate niches, and he's going to be sharing some of the most innovative real estate investing strategies I've ever heard. We're going to break it all down on this episode, so make sure you watch the whole thing. If you have any questions, put them in the box down below. As always, make sure you check out the links in the description. And if you like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button because this is the show for you. We'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs. All right, Siam, thank you for being on Founders Club. Looking forward to having a nice chat today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm excited to talk to your audience and talk and show them how they can buy their first or the next real estate deal, very quickly.
Yeah, I love it. And so one thing, you've obviously done hundreds, over 1,000 real estate transactions, which I'm excited to kind of dive in and pick your brain about. But I know that you also started on Wall Street. And
Yeah.
so that's not a general path on where people start. So how did you go from the Wall Street world into the real estate world?
Yeah. Look, I didn't come from money, right? My parents are immigrants. Mother's from Dominican Republic, father's from Ethiopia, and I grew up in New York City, in the Lower East Side, and eventually to Jersey. And they instilled hard work ethic. So I went, did well in school, then ended up getting a scholarship to college, and then worked on Wall Street because I thought that was the only path to becoming financially free and being wealthy. All right. I went to Georgetown University and had a full scholarship. And, everyone talked about being on Wall Street, being in consulting, getting into accounting, one of the big firms. And that was how you're going to make it rich and have all this money and have the best lifestyle. Well, I did it. I worked at one of the top Wall Street firms, but it was not the best lifestyle, right? It was one of the worst lifestyles you could probably imagine. And as a matter of fact, I remember looking at my managing director who had been there 20 years plus, and him sometimes having to cancel events with his kids because he had to travel for a client meeting. And I said, I'm not sure that's how I want to live the next 20 years of my life, right? I'm a big believer that you work to live, not live to work. Right. And then something happened. I wanted to get married. I'm actually married to my high school sweetheart. And so been together since high school, since junior year. And, I wanted to get married. And I told my boss 3 months ahead, hey, I'm going to take off a few weeks because I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna have a honeymoon. I have people coming in from all over the country, even internationally. Right. And he said, yeah, no problem. When it came time to it, he literally asked me, do you think you can reschedule your wedding? We're really busy right now. And yeah, so I took a step back and I said, whoa, really? Are you serious?
Yeah.
You have the audacity to ask that question?
Yeah, because those are easy to reschedule.
Yeah, we had 200 people coming in, and
That's
so
crazy.
my response to him was, I think this is going to be my last day. I apologize, I can't give you notice, but I'm not going to be canceling my wedding. And I wish you the best of luck. I appreciate every opportunity you gave me. And it definitely opened doors being in that role for me in many conversations after that. But I quit cold turkey, not knowing what I was going to do next. And it took some time to figure out real estate. I went and started selling some used cars. I remember my dad being extremely pissed, saying I blew my entire future, right? And sold these cars, flipped some motorcycles, and then my younger brother found the property in Newark, New Jersey, and said we should buy this. And I said, sure, but I don't have a job to get a loan right now. How are we going to do this? He's like, I don't know. It's a cheap house for $45K. It's surrounded by beautiful homes. I don't even know what the math is, but it's got to be a deal. So, I said, all right, if you want to do it, I'll back you. Let's do this. So we went and started asking for money from all our friends, families, 1,000 here, 500 there. My brother got a title loan on his car and we bought the home.
Wow.
Then I realized, we just bought it, but we actually need the money to rehab it. Right? So then, I started doing a bunch of research and I, stepped on something called hard money, and we got the money to do the renovations. And then we flipped it and made $60,000. And that was our first of many, many deals beyond that. So that was the first taste. And I got hooked ever since.
Wow. How'd he get it so cheap?
So it was a bank owned property. This is pre 2000. It was like 2009, 2010, and it was a bank owned property. It was crazy that the day we bought it, that same night, someone went in and stripped the plumbing. And so, we got a rude awakening to what real estate was, but in the end, it was profitable. We had many learning experiences, and it was the first of many, many successful deals. The next deal was not successful. I lost money in the next deal because I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm.
And when ended up getting coaching, and it kind of just sped up the entire learning track from there.
Talk about that one where you lost money, because I think that's everyone talks about their wins, but it's rare you hear the losses. Let's hear that one.
Yeah, so this one's in Edison, New Jersey. For those of you that are familiar, we found a house, and a realtor was showing it to me, and he said, "Hey, look, I think you're going to renovate this home for 30 grand." I said, "Great, awesome." Didn't verify, didn't get contractor bids. I just trusted he knew what he was talking about, and I went and did that. He said, "I can sell this house for you for 250, no problem." All right, I said, "All right, awesome, great, let's do it." Didn't know how to run comps and figure out what the value was. Um, we went, we bought it, got hard money, and the hard money lender made money. The realtor made money. I lost a whole lot of money. Actually, everything I made in the first day, I wiped it out on my second deal. And
Wow.
yeah, I lost $75,000 in that second deal.
Why
And
is that? Just because it didn't sell for what you thought, or it had issues, or what?
sold it for 200K, not 250, like you said. The renovation for 30,000 ended up being $80,000.
Mm.
And it took a long time to do that renovation because I was trying to find the money here and there to get that thing wrapped up. And it just dragged on. And in the end, it was a $75,000 loss. And
Wow.
yeah, well, I don't work with that realtor anymore. Right.
Yeah.
and, it put me into a little depression, and I didn't know what to do next. But I knew I wanted to try it again because it worked once.
Mm.
I remember sitting in my room and my wife coming to me and saying, "Look, being depressed is not going to do you any good. It's not going to, God, get you back on your feet. What you need to do is find someone that knows what they're doing, because you clearly don't know what you're doing, right? and and learn from them." And that's exactly what I did. I went and got a mentor that had been in the business for years. It was
Mm.
2011, and he had been in the business since 2004 and done tons of deals. Latched on to him, spend the days with him, learn how to do off market deals, how to locate and get deals on demand, essentially how to raise private money, how to analyze deals to know what your profit is going up, how to estimate the repairs, all the stuff that I know now. And it literally jump started everything. Coming out of that, we started raising money, started doing different marketing techniques like bandit signs and door hangers and all these different things. And long story short, 13, 14 years later, we've done 1,400 real estate transactions, about $250 million in real estate transacted, and have a rental portfolio of about 600 doors.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. And that mentor that you found, was that like a paid coach, or was
Yeah,
that just someone through like a networking group or something, or how did you connect with them?
it was a paid coach. I heard an ad and it was a paid coach. And I went in. I didn't have the money to do it because I just lost all that money. And he said, "All right, what can you give me as commitment that you're going to do this, and we'll tie in your the remaining of it on your first deal." I was like, "All right, great. So you're in it to win it with me, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm successful, you're successful." So I jumped in, did it, and obviously it worked out.
No, that's awesome. I love that. And so obviously fast forward, you've done a lot of deals since then, like you said, 1,400 deals. What types of deals are you focused on now? What are you guys working on these days?
Our main focus, we have three types of things we focus on. New construction, we're entitling land and building on it. So that's one. Second, we're doing multifamily conversions or multifamily remodels, right? So we
Okay.
just finished a 72 unit in Miami, Florida that we gutted. We're now leasing it out, and we've been able to really improve the value. And then the third one is doing hotel properties that have a lot of deferred maintenance. So we go in, we buy a hotel, usually from like a retiring landlord or someone who's owned it for many years, and just let it get dilapidated. We go in there, turn it around, and double the value, which is what we've done on our previous couple of projects.
Wow. Okay, that's very interesting. So, obviously, entitling land and building, that's one box. You said multifamily redevelopment, that's another box. Now, hotels, that's a whole separate animal. Um, how do you guys do that? Like, what is your um, like, how does that work? Is it similar to
Yeah,
the multifamily
very, very
redevelopment where it's
similar.
value
The way
based on rent?
Very similar. The way we buy hotels, the way we buy multifamilies is the same way you buy single families. The analysis is a little bit different, but the acquisition strategy is the same and the funding is the same. One of my best strategies that we worked with over the years is we target properties that from people that have owned it for 20, 30, 40 years plus, and haven't traded it and live far away from where the property is sitting. So when we put that mix together, and then sometimes we'll add in delinquent on taxes, then you just really have the secret sauce, right? And when you put that list together, you get a motivated seller that's tired, many times just wants to move on, cash out, and I can pay them more today than what they paid 30 years ago and still leave meat on the table for me. All right. And so we do that with single families, we do that with multifamily, and then we do that with hotels. Now, the repositioning of the hotel, the repositioning of the multifamily, our exit strategy is similar. We take a big building or big property and we parcel it off, and then end up selling as condos. So, in Ohio, we bought a 30 unit in Urbana, Ohio. I'll give you an example. In Urbana, Ohio, rural area, close to where all this Intel stuff is going on in not too far from Columbus, Ohio. And we bought a 30 unit building for $1.8 million. Now, everyone was looking at it as a 30 unit building, and the numbers weren't amazing as a 30 unit building because everyone was looking on a cap rate basis. But I said, you know what? Let's look at the comps. There's condos in the area selling for 150 to 180 that are 3-bedroom condos that are within quarter mile of this place, right? So we went in, we bought it, we parceled it into 30 condos, and within 3 months, no renovation, the property appraised from 1.8 to 4.5.
Wow. And then what, you sold them all off individually?
Hey there, I just have a quick favor to ask. If you're getting value from Founders Club and you're watching on YouTube, just give us a like, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. These things are free to do, and it really helps the channel, and it also helps us be able to bring better guests for you in the future. Now back to the episode.
So I still own them. What I ended up doing is I got DSCR loans now on each one, and they all appraised for 150. So I pulled all my money out and a profit, and I still have it as a rental. I'm going to wait till Intel is done being built in Columbus, and then I'll pop those down. So that's same thing with the hotel. We own a hotel in the Caribbean, Dominican Republic, right? We bought the hotel for $2 million and spent about $1 million renovating it. And as a hotel, it's worth $4.5 million. Great. Right? Still a good upside. But we turned it into 71 condos. And now each condo is worth $100,000 plus. So you just open up your buyer pool, right? And retail.
So let me understand this though. You're turning them into condos, but you're not selling them. What is the thing that makes them worth more by converting it from a multifamily to condos?
Yeah, a multifamily is purely based on what an investor will pay for it. Right. An investor is going to pay based on what the yield or the cap rate is going to produce.
Right.
A condo is worth what a retail buyer will pay for it to live in it. And they will usually or almost always pay more than what an investor will pay. So when the appraiser goes out, if I'm going to refinance it, or when a buyer goes out to look at it, they're not comparing it to other, multifamilies in the area and say, I need to get a 10% cap rate on this property, so I can only pay $2 million. They're saying, all right, other condos in this area that are renovated are going for, 150 or 200, whatever the number is. That's what the value of this property is. So an appraiser does the same valuation, and you're able to yield more on the refi, so I can pull out more profit and recuperate my cash and do the next project, or sell each individually and really maximize the money.
Wow. No, that's crazy. So essentially it shows up as 30 condos that you own as opposed to one building.
Yes. And this strategy, we did this, 10 years ago for the first time in Columbus, Ohio. We bought a duplex, right? And this is one of our first multifamily. We're always doing single family fix and flips. Bought a duplex for $200K in a great neighborhood in Columbus. We spent $50K renovating it, and it was worth $300,000, right? So all right, we can make $25,000 on this flip. Okay, that's great. I'm not gonna say no. You never go broke making a profit, right? But then we said, you know what? Each side is like 1,500 square feet. We noticed that there are condos that are 1,500 square feet and townhomes in the area selling for $250 a piece, right? And so we went and we parceled it, split it down the middle, made an HOA. That whole process cost us a couple grand, and we sold one side for $250 and the other side for $302. So now our $300K ARV or after repair value became a $550,000 exit. And we're like, we're gonna keep doing this, man. This is too the
Yeah,
juice.
that's unbelievable. That's really cool. I've never heard of anybody doing that. So that's a very cool strategy. So what is the process from going from the multifamily or the duplex to condos?
Yeah, it's very simple actually. Number one, you got to hire an attorney to do make an HOA for you, right? They'll set up an LLC, they'll make an HOA. There's templates they can find online, so that shouldn't be too costly. A couple grand there. You have to get a survey of the property, so they survey all the common area and what you'll actually own. And then you need layout plans of the property. So if you're going to get a permit, many times you need plans anyway, all right? So it's not much different than what you're going to do anyway if you're going to do the renovation. So plans, survey, condo docs by an attorney, and you submit it to the county, and it takes them a few days to parcel out the property, and you're golden.
Wow. Yeah, I was just gonna say, how long does that process take from start to finish?
Yeah, it just depends which city you're in. We've done it in Miami, we've done it in DR, we've done it in Columbus, Ohio, we've done it in Urbana. The larger cities take a little longer. I would expect them from 2 to 3 months because the survey companies and architects are just a little bit more delayed and they're busy. But if you're like in a more rural area or a tertiary city, then that process can all be done within a month.
That's amazing. And the whole time you just have it rented out, like people can be living in it, or does it have to be? Yeah, it can.
Yes.
So you can, so your multifamily, you can keep it rented, keep the cash flow, keep everything going as this process is going in the background. And then once it converts, then you're getting it reappraised at that point.
Yes. Right now, as we're speaking on this, I'm doing a multifamily conversion in Minneapolis. Right. I bought 17 units in Minneapolis. I don't live in Minneapolis. We put systems in place. I bought 17 units in Minneapolis, and we paid $230 a door. At first I was hesitant because $230 a door is not cheap, right? To go in on an entrance price, but it's in downtown, actually in an area called Uptown near downtown, and we're spending about $25,000-$30,000 a unit in renovations, new kitchens, new baths, the condo finishes, and we're actually going to sell this one individually, and they should be worth about $400,000 a unit as condos.
Wow.
So excellent, over $1 million in upside on that deal by just simply, we literally paid retail for the multifamily, all right, with the understanding we're converting the use and we're going to get to exit at a higher dollar.
No, that's crazy. And then, yeah, wow. And then, so you're able to sell them individually. So are you figuring out if you can do this before you execute the purchase?
Absolutely. During the due
Okay.
diligence process, we talk to the zoning department and see if there's any restrictions, the building department, and as long as they give us a stamp of approval, then we're all for the deal.
And so you're just asking them basic questions like, can I convert this to condos?
Yeah, will you guys allow me to parcel this? Like, for instance, in Columbus, Ohio, you could either be a townhouse or a condo, and it all depends on how your drainage and water supply is ran to the property. So if you want to be a townhome, you need individual supplies and drains going to the city connection for each one. Otherwise, you're a condo. I would love to be a townhome all day long because there's less restrictions with the association. But if you're willing to invest that money, if the deal's juicy enough, if the juice warrants the squeeze, then you can do that
Right.
and separate it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go the condo route. So all you're doing is talking to them, find out what the requirements are, and you make sure you follow them so you can execute on your plan.
Yeah, no, that's unbelievable. That's very, very cool. So shifting gears a little bit, I noticed something that you said on your bio. You says you help people find and fund deals in under 30 days.
That's
So
right.
how do you do that?
Yeah. So there's deals everywhere. You just need to know where to look, right? A lot of people approach real estate in the mindset where I gotta get a deal. There's not enough deals out there. I need a deal for me. There's deals everywhere in every street in the United States. I'd probably be willing to guess that there's a deal in that city. Right. You just have to know where to go for it. And so I show people, the different ways that we like to buy deals so they can literally go out there and mimic the process. I'll give you an example. I bought a few deals last year from my mail lady, right? I went to the mail lady it was right before Thanksgiving this is 2025, so it was 2024, right before Thanksgiving, and she pulls up and I said, hey, look, you see every house in the neighborhood. If you see any homes that look vacant or look like they need a lot of work, text me the address. I will reach out to those people. If I buy, I'll give you $1,000, right?
Wow.
I bought one within 2 weeks. And she started sending me hundreds of texts a day. I had to tell her to hold on. It's too many. Get me the best ones that you think have potential, and I'll run with it. I bought two from her in 2 months. That's just having a conversation. I didn't have to spend thousands of dollars in marketing, right?
Yeah, that's really smart. You turn the mailman into a bird dog.
Yeah, exactly. All different things. Going to the tax list. People wait for the tax auction. That's great, but I like buying the properties 6-8 weeks before the auction, using that list to target those owners. You'll get a deal. There's tax auctions in every county. Now, as far as funding the deal, this particularly has to do, focus on creative funding strategies. So, turning your seller into a lender, getting hard money. I showed them that there's more money out there than you'll ever need to do any deal that you want to do. And we have a real estate community that we've built over the years where, we have conversations with each student, and I say, all right, this student's got the time. He wants to go out there and go and source deals. This student's working a full-time job, or maybe they're a doctor, or maybe they're a nurse, and they don't have the time to go out there and source deals. Hey, y'all, why don't y'all partner up and do a deal together? Now you got the full pie. So now the guy who's got the time but doesn't have the money can get his first deal funded. The one who has the money but not the time can actually execute the deal, and they can both profit, and it's a win-win for all parties involved. So we just talk about creative strategies to get deals.
I love that. No, that's cool. And circling back to that mailman story, so she sent you an address that just said, "Hey, this house looks whatever, boarded up or very poor condition or whatever it was." What are you doing from there? Are you just like skip tracing it and calling them, or what?
That's exactly what I'm doing. So I'll give you exactly what happened. The first house really run down, had a tarp on the roof, and they were just you could tell that they didn't have the money to keep the house up. So I skip traced them. We called them, we texted them, they didn't respond. So what I did is I went and bought a for sale sign at Home Depot, put on the front yard, and put my number on it. Right. They called me the next day saying, beep, 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 right? You can think of the words like, "Who are you? How are you selling my house?" I was like, "Hey, I'm not. All right. I've been calling, texting, trying to help you out. I'm interested in buying your property. If you want to sell, I can have cash in your pocket within the next 30 days. And he said, "Oh, okay, tell me more." Right. So creative strategies like that is what we do to get you your first deal.
That is amazing. That I've definitely never heard that one. No, that's awesome. So in terms of like finding deals, obviously that's a bit obscure in terms of like having the mailman do it, but it's brilliant. And then I also heard you say you target, people that have owned properties for 20 years that don't live in the area anymore. What else are you doing to target deals? Like, how are you getting your best deals right now?
Hey, real quick, we are growing our nationwide real estate team, and we are looking for agents and brokers who want to be a part of it. When you join our inner circle, you'll have access to private trainings, 100% commission real estate plans, stock awards, and the ability to refer agents to build a downline for passive income. Best part is you get 188 pieces of print marketing collateral for free on every listing to help you sell more homes. To learn more, visit 100commissionrealestate.com. That's the number 100commissionrealestate.com, or send me a message on any of my social media accounts. Links in the description below, and we'll look forward to talking to you. Now back to the episode.
Yeah, so the retiring landlords is one of our best, and it's been the best for years. The delinquent tax list, and I don't go and bid at the auction because I don't want to compete against JP Morgan and all the big guys. They got more money than I do, right? We'll use that list to target before. The third one is one that nobody really does, and we've done really well with it over the years. We probably buy anywhere from 5 to 10 houses a year off this list. Is we go for the delinquent water list, right? And what you might say, what does that mean? How do you even get that? So many counties will allow you to go into the county and find a delinquent water, people who are behind on the utility bill. Now, why does this matter? If someone is $3,000, $4,000, or even $5,000 behind on the water bill, it tells me a few things. One, it tells me that there's financial distress there because you can't pay your water, and then there's probably other things you can't pay. Two, it tells me that the property is probably vacant because the water is likely off. So that's the second thing. And that's another motivation for selling. So that's one huge way. If the county won't give you the list, you can go to the recorder's office and look at recent utility liens filed. right? And that's the same thing, because once the water bill gets high enough, they file a lien and make sure they get paid when it gets refinanced or sold. So that's been a huge success, and hopefully your listeners, get that nugget and they can go out there and tackle that as well.
Yeah, no, that's definitely sliding in the back door.
Look, I
Yeah,
believe if you target lead sources that other people aren't targeting, you're going to get the deals that no one else is looking at. So it's open
yeah,
water to go fishing. And that's been our
yeah.
philosophy for the years.
Yeah, and then I also heard you talk about the tax delinquent list. What are you doing with that list?
Yeah. So we find it's not just delinquent on taxes, but it's houses going to tax auction. Right. So if your property is going to tax auction, and that's tax deed auction, not just the lien. The lien is still in the early part of the phase. But once you get a lien, eventually it becomes a deed sale where they sell your property off for the tax amount. When it gets to this point, it tells me a few things. It tells me, one, that there's a high probability there's no mortgage in that property, because typically the mortgage pays the taxes. And number two, financial stress. And number three, you have a definite timeline. You need to get something done. So if that tax auction is April 1st and it is May 1st, usually you can't delay that tax auction, right? You can delay a foreclosure auction, but usually you can't delay a tax auction. And so I'll take that list and start marketing those people before. We'll skip trace them. We'll send them text messages. We'll send them phone calls. We'll do the for sale sign. We'll put a door hanger on the door, whatever it is to get them to call us back and have an A/B conversation. Because if we can have an A/B conversation, I'm beating all those people waiting at the auction to buy your property.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really good. And so that was going to be my next question. So the delinquent water list, these tax deed auctions, all these different strategies, how are you going after them? And it sounds like skip tracing, leaving for sale signs, door hangers, basically whatever you got to do to get belly to belly with these people.
Exactly. Texting, calling them. And we even go as far as sending direct mail, which is the old way of doing things, but it really works. Now you do a twist to the direct mail, and that's how you get the better results. So with the tax auction list, we will actually made a postcard a couple years back and had this big guy carrying a bunch of luggage, and it said, "Your tax auction's coming. Have you packed yet?" Right. And so I would send those out to people,
Wow.
and normally you get 3, 4, 5% response rate when you send mail. But I learned if you piss somebody off, you get a better response rates. Now it's just your job to talk them off a ledge and calm them down. And that's how we'll get anywhere from 10 to 15%, sometimes 20, 25% response rates with those postcards, when direct mail is normally a very low response rate. So we're
Yeah.
just reaching out to them every way possible. We'll even find them on Facebook. We have the name, we have the address. We'll find them on Facebook, send them a DM. So whatever we attack it from all angles, looking for a successful outcome.
I love that. That's really good stuff right there. Um, Okay, what about exit strategies? What are you buying and holding? Are you mainly flipping? Like what or do you do a little bit of everything?
We do a little bit of both. So a couple years ago, we put something together called the Flip to Freedom method, and that's what we teach our mentees in our community, where we flip two and keep one as a rental. The flips pay for your now money. That's your immediate gratification. Get you money, get your savings right. Allows you to get your credit right. Whatever it is you need to do now, and your rental is your future money. So that is setting up your retirement. So you have to depend on Uncle Sam to do that. So you don't have to worry about whether Social Security is going to be here or not. You're being the driver of your own fate. So we flip two, keep one. So every 3 properties you buy, you flip 2 to get that nice pop, and you keep 1 for long-term future income.
Love that. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. That's easy and I love it. Um Flip 2, keep 1. Easy enough. So what
That's right.
about underwriting and analyzing deals? How are you looking at that and what tips do you have for us there?
Yeah, so there's two real things to it. So for those that are in our community, we have calculators we put together. We have a fix and flip calculator. We have a BRRRR method calculator for those that want to buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. And we have a turnkey rental calculator. So we have calculators for estimate repairs, for figuring out what the after repair value is. So those people in our community get access to all of that. And every deal that you do, whether you decide to work with me in long term or not, I recommend do not close on it without a good calculator, because it's very easy to forget about a lot of costs when looking at a deal. A lot of people think you buy a house for 100K, you put 50K into it and sell it for 200, you made 50K. In all reality, you didn't, because you got purchase closing costs, selling closing costs, insurance, utilities, lawn care, whatever it is that interest if you're borrowing money. I highly recommend you understand where you're going in. You understand going in what your exit is going to look like. And so we have great calculators. And what I will do for your audience is I will give everyone on your audience our Flip to Freedom calculator for analyzing flips, so they can use it and start analyzing deals.
Awesome. No, I love that. Certainly appreciate that. And we'll put all the links in the description for you guys to access that. So that's very cool, and appreciate you doing that.
No
So
problem.
what advice would you give to someone looking to do this for the first time?
Yes. So someone looking to do it for the first time, if you're on the fence, if you're not sure, I say do it, right? Why wait to buy real estate? Every 10 years, real estate typically doubles, right? That's historically. Yes, you have little dips in the middle. You might have the economy. You have, Trump say something or do a tweet, and then the market drops. But long term, real estate has proven to be one of the best, if not the best, real estate investment vehicle out there. Better than the stock market, better than crypto, better than anything. All right, it's stable, it's real, it's an asset. So just go out there and buy real estate. If you have the time to go out there and fix and flip and do the Burr method, do it. You will not be disappointed. All right. If you're working a full-time job and you don't have time to source deals or to manage contractors, just buy turnkey cash flowing assets, and you will see that over time they will appreciate, and you're going to get all the tax benefits from owning real estate. So my recommendation to everybody who's out there thinking about it, on the fence or interested in it, just do it, like Nike says, and you will not be disappointed. Your future self will absolutely thank you.
Yeah, totally agree and second that. Um, a lot of people right now are just, with the market the way it is, they're a little bit, scared to pull the trigger, worried about the market. What are your thoughts on that, and where do you see things going?
Yeah, look, with all these tariffs and everything happening, I think it's gonna become a reality in the near future. This actually bodes very well for existing home stock, right? Because there's going to be a reduction in the amount of new construction happening over the next few years, and when that happens, the older stock is going to be renovated and it's going to be hold its value even further. So I think that there may be a slight price drop, but long term, I think that it's a great place to be. Also, if you're thinking short term, then you're going to forego all the long-term benefits of owning real estate, right? Just buy it. I'm a big believer that if you're going to buy a deal, don't just buy it with one exit strategy. It shouldn't just work as a flip, because if you need to keep it long-term because the market shifts, it should also pencil in as a rental property so that it can at least cover itself, if not cash flow, right? And if it works like that, you can't lose in real estate. You just wait the market out. Right. And you're going to get the tax benefits. So you also keep more of your money in your pocket from wherever other income source that you have. So I think it's still a great place to be in. I will be in it for the rest of my life. Right. I teach my kids to be in it. I'm teaching them all the stuff I learned that I didn't learn, as a kid, so that they can have an early start. And I highly recommend anyone else that's thinking about it to do it. Cut all the hype out, all the noise out on the market, and just focus on you and your future. And you will see that real estate will outperform any investment vehicle out there.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. And then what about the person that maybe has kind of maybe like a small portfolio or already started, or an Airbnb, and they want to go into that next level of like the multifamily, the condos thing, the hotel thing? Like, what advice would you give to them?
If you're looking for a little bit of extra help growing your real estate business or brokerage, make sure you check out my consulting links in the description below, and I'll work one on one with you to give you the help you need. Now back to the episode.
Yeah, I think it's very, very profitable. It's very, very lucrative. You will do very well with it. Go out and you can figure it out. But if you need a helping hand, we have the Wealth Wednesdays real estate community. I will put the link in. I will send the link to you, Oliver, so you can share with everyone if they want to be involved, and we will help you along the way and guide you in that process. Because I understand something new can be scary, but if you have the right guidance in your corner, if you have a mentor that's done it many times, right? There's all these fake gurus out there that haven't really done real estate, teaching people real estate. We've actually done it, right? We spent the first 13 years of our business actually building the business, and only recently started showing people how to get involved in it and do exactly what we do in our business all day, every day, so you can see the same kind of results.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm a big believer in coaching, as it sounds like you are too, right? Like you got started, lost money, hired a coach, and then that turned everything around. And the way I always look at it is you're going to spend the money one way or the other. You're going to spend the money on a coach and shortcut your success, or you're going to spend the money on making mistakes and
Yes.
doing it the wrong way and learning the hard way. Either
Yes.
way, you're spending the money.
Absolutely. Look, I've had a long 15-year career in real estate now, and I've had bumps along the way. So use my experience, use Oliver's experience, right? So you don't have those same bumps, right? When I went
Yeah.
from single family and I wanted to scale the portfolio, we hired a third party property manager that completely ruined the portfolio and almost knocked their feet off from below us, where we started going delinquent and stuff because we weren't getting paid for months.
Wow.
In retrospect, I should have went to someone else that had the experience of scaling and asked them some opinions. Like right now, I would tell you, what, make sure you vet them out really well. Don't give them the entire portfolio day one, scale into it, make sure they perform, and give them, in batches of 5, 10, 15, 20 properties versus me giving them, a few hundred at one time and only finding out after the fact, after they've done the damage, that they weren't who they said they were. So, when you're working with a mentor, just verify that they're actually doing the business, and then follow their footsteps, and you will see your road to success very, very quickly.
Yeah, I love that. And then what about like favorite tools that you like to use, things that you use in your business that you're excited about and move the needle?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the tools that we use, let's see. People think that in order to run comps, you need to be a realtor. People think that in order to, analyze a property for rent or whatever it is, you need to be a realtor, need access to MLS. That's not true. A lot of websites like Zillow will give you very accurate data. I still run my comps on Zillow, right? I don't look at the Zillow value, but I will look at the comparables and the sales data on Zillow.
Yeah.
So those you guys that are out there thinking about getting into real estate and worrying about spending money or the time getting the license before you do so, I'm going to say you could do that later, right? I have my license, but that came in many years after I started. And so that's one thing. Second thing is, I highly recommend you guys all read the book called The E-Myth. It's by Michael Gerber. It's all about the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur, and how we all strive to be the entrepreneur and set systems on our business so they're not dependent on our time being there, clocked in, doing everything. And when you read that book, it'll really help you, structure your business in a way that it can operate with or without you there, and you'll see
Mhm.
that your time will thank you.
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay, cool. And then in 60 seconds or less, what does it take to be a successful real estate investor in today's market?
Yeah. So to be a successful real estate investor, guys, it takes drive, it takes work, and it takes the ability to look under rocks that other people are not looking. If you focus only on the MLS with the realtor, you can do deals, right? But you're constantly, butting up against other people making that same offer. There's homes that get 20, 30 offers because they're great deals in the market. That's fine, but you will be stressed, and you may quit before you even get started. So you need to focus on off-market deals. All right. You need to focus on building your network, going to networking events, networking with people, even though many of them are on Zoom, get their contact information. I was at one last night in Miami. And as you build your network, as you build the strategies to go out there and find off-market real estate and have conversations direct with sellers, you'll see that your real estate business will flourish and you'll be extremely successful as a result.
There you go. Love that. That's great advice. And man, you really opened up my eyes on a lot of different things. I think there's been a lot of really good nuggets on this podcast. So definitely appreciate that. For people that want to connect with you and learn more, how can they do that?
Yeah, look, you can follow me on IG, Instagram. I am Sayam, Sayam. Right. I'll make sure we put the link to join our community, and we have the Wealth Wednesdays real estate community. Right. And if you join the community, you're going to get access to our calculators. You're going to get access to multiple classes from the bird strategy, fix and flipping, raising capital to do deals, and wholesaling real estate contracts. If that's something of interest to get started, you're going to get access to a community that's going to support you, answer your questions, and you're going to get access to us to help you, guide you along the way. So, we look forward to seeing you guys on the community and connecting on Instagram. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys successful in real estate investing, guys.
Love that. Yeah, definitely connect with Siam. Check out his community. As always, make sure you check out the links in the description. And if you like money, you like real estate, hit that subscribe button because this is the show for you.
Yes,
Thanks, Siam.
sir.
Appreciate it, man.
My pleasure, brother.